Good morning, everybody. Bottom line Thursday time, and I'm Brad Johnson, the guest, along with these two fine gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. Chris Byer. Good to see you.
Chris Bowling, thank you, Brad, for kicking us off as usual. Amazing.
You're welcome. I'm going to talk about something that just read. Don't know a ton about it. I know enough to talk about it here, but at least enough to spur a conversation.
Yes.
Have you guys heard healthcare costs are going up?
Huh.
First time? Well, you heard it here first.
Wow.
So, obviously a problem nationwide.
Yes.
States are trying to tackle it for their own budgets, whether it's, Medicare, Medicaid, all the different state spending on things. And so California is trying to tackle healthcare spending by putting in very ambitious targets. And when you say targets, it boils down to legislation. They
Okay.
want to cap spending growth. I think what I read was about 3.5% growth year over year, and then down to 3% by 2029. So started in 2025 and then down to 3% in 2029. And just like everything, right? They're trying to limit, increases in prices, trying to avoid unnecessary treatments, just different inefficiencies. Obviously, that will pit California against the providers providing the care.
Yes.
I had read somewhere that the hospitals are coming back to shoot for more like a 5-point-something% target, saying our population's getting older. We can't control the fact that people need more care as they get older. So just kind of interesting. I wish them luck. There's been a few other states that have tried, Massachusetts being one. I think they tried about 10 years ago. For the first couple of years, actually, they beat the targets, but then later they didn't. And it was, guess what portion of healthcare spending they weren't able to control? Any guesses?
I'm going to guess RX.
Nailed it. You got it. So I'm going to leave it there and we can open it up for discussion here.
Well, it's the time we're seeing it in our local market where providers and insurance carriers are trying to work out deals. Providers need more money after multiple years of inflation post-COVID with no change in contracts. Carriers are pushing back on that. I question it from California standpoint. If they're going to penalize the provider for exceeding a target or penalize the spending, does that just mean they shut off care for somebody? Because I think at the end of the day, this is going to impact the state employees, those that are on Medicaid, that you're not welcome for care anymore because we can't get paid. I don't know. That's probably on the far end of it. That's what comes to mind for me.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, what do they say? Medical trends 8.5, pharmacies, whatever, 15, 17.
Yeah.
Typical California, we've set a unrealistic goal without really defining what are you going to do to change the consumer spending, because you're going to have to cut out a whole lot of stuff to ever get to 3 to 5%. I hate to say it's impossible, but as we all know, there are union agreements that, are agreed upon, what's covered, what's not. Do you plan on having your unions make some kind of concessions around what's covered, what's not?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Kind of a big old, let's hope, but what are you going to do?
Yeah. Then when you think that they are, the largest state economy in the United States, they're basically like a small country. Is 3 to 5% just negligible because they're so large in their spending? I mean, when you think of that, it's not 3 to 5% on millions of dollars. It's on billions and billions and billions of dollars. That maybe that is doable.
Let's say that there's a drug that comes out, and this drug magically, you can drop 20% of your body, basically your body weight, 10% of your body weight. Let's just say this drug comes out.
Sounds nice.
What do you think that's going to do?
That'd be amazing if it did.
we're all struggling with GLP-1s, and how do we control this spending? Because I get it. They are life-changing drugs for type 2 diabetics.
Yeah.
And what we ran into last week is now we have physicians automatically taking a brand new type 2 diabetic patient right to a GLP-1. And, I struggle with that. I mean, Metformin has been around since Jesus. So why can't we start with that? You know, I mean, why do we have to go to the to the $15,000 drug? Why can't we start, I don't know, with maybe a diet program and a type 2 diabetic drug?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a behavior change if they're going to achieve that. It can't just be, we're not going to spend money over this level. There's got to be a change in how you're using care.
I think to your point, though, those drugs, whether it's GLP-1s or insert new drug here, will continue to come out, and that just messes with every projection ever.
Absolutely.
Remember when they had that essentially a cure for Hep C?
Yeah.
And it was 80 grand a pop, and it was, couple months of treatment, but everyone's plan was getting nailed by that. Those, even though we know these drugs are in the pipeline, we don't know to what extent. And I think those things are really going to make this challenging. And I was candidly surprised that the providers were saying they could hold to a 5% or something, when to their defense, there's a lot of things out of their control.
Absolutely.
And then I looked to the trend thing, like you talked about. Ever since I was born, I think, and that probably goes back to BC, like the metformin thing. Trend has always been 7 to 8 or 9. So if we can get it to 5, let's get some of these trend numbers down so the groups aren't prepaying that on their fully insured premiums. So there's a lot I don't understand as old as I am still.
I find it interesting you brought up the Hep C, because remember how we were like, an $80,000 year drug? Are you crazy? That's nothing now.
Yeah. Now we're like, great.
This is great. It's only 80,000 now.
Yeah.
We have some that are 20 grand a month.
Yeah.
So, and that wasn't that long ago when that drug came out. So yeah, it's, I say it every time I'm in front of a client. At some point in our life, we may show up on this page, and it's called the high cost claimant report. And that's why we have insurance. It's not to point at one person. It's not to say how dare they take this drug, but it's going to happen more and more. I mean, we have life-saving drugs hitting the market, and they are not cheap. So to this, I applaud you, California, if you can do it. No different than I applaud you if you could somehow create enough energy to have every electric car actually able to charge every single evening. So
ambitious.
Well, I'm glad I could stir the pot.
You're welcome. Let me tell you. Let's talk about politics.
On that note, good talking with you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right.
What a great topic.
Good to see you guys.
All right, we'll see you.
Yep.